for joining us today for Master Coaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz and our after show Buzz Reaction. I'm Ruth Nelson, joined by Hall of Famers Mick Haley, Bob Bertucci, and Brian Gimolero, bringing you the most current issues and trends in volleyball. Our weekly news show has leaders in our sport provide their perspective on the questions that are asked, along with a discussion on topics that are current and ones that are affecting all of us. Our news flash, the NIL buzz. Athletes are brand ambassadors, whether it's Open Doors, it's Just Wings, or most recently, Ivy.ai's chatbots, and IK Hoffman, who becomes the first international company to offer NIL in partnership with Icon Source. Deals are valued at $2,000 per athlete. BYU female student athletes have inked an NIL deal with data intelligent firm Smarty Streets that could be worth over $2 million to the 300 student athletes. If you're not familiar with NFTs and NIL, best Google, as this is the landmark change where athletes choose to monetize through digital means. If posting content has been proven to be over half of the earnings from NIL, well, we better learn how to create good content. Registration is open for 2021 AVCA Convention in Columbus, Ohio, December 15th to 18th. Jump over to avcaconvention.org and save $100 by registering early. Our guests today include founder and chairman of the board and club director of one of the most successful junior volleyball clubs in the Southeast. They will update us on their recent partnership with one of the upcoming professional leagues, as well as talk about their club, how they first started, and where they are now, and where they see themselves in the future. So let's head over to Austin, Texas, with former Olympic coach Mick Haley, who will introduce our guest today. Mick?
Thank you, Ruth. It's really a pleasure to introduce these two gentlemen. I'm going to do it one at a time. The first person is the chair of the board, and Bob Westbrook has been around, I guess we could say, a little while. A lot of you don't know him, but I found out a whole bunch of things. I thought I knew everything about Bob. He's taken A5 volleyball to an unprecedented level as the board and founder of that club. And I followed him all through recruiting because of that, but I knew him way back when. What I didn't know, Bob, is that your nickname was Sparky. How does that work? I never heard Sparky.
I've had many nicknames. That's just, and I think that was homemade by Mike Lingenfelder, actually.
Okay. I can understand that. That's pretty interesting. Well, listen, we want to get right to this, and I was going to talk about ANVA because I felt like that was the first place that you and Rob Buck and Steve George and Dale Flickinger and Rod Jones and a bunch of people got training in real serious volleyball, because they had an idea to start a pro league, to open up facilities, and to go across the country. You seem to have continued that concept on your own, and you're out there doing special things. Tell us a little bit about your club and how you got to this point. I mean, what is your whole focus here, and where are you going?
Well, first of all, I have to say that for me to be on a podcast or any event with four of you is extraordinary in my life. I'm like a little kid about this, because I'm going to honestly say that the four of you have been my heroes in many, many different ways. You have been so impactful directly in whatever I've done in my life, both personally and professionally. I can't tell you how exciting it is for me and humbling it is. So
we're going to charge you. We're going to charge you for that. Okay.
It's the truth. I speak the truth from my heart. Actually, Mick, when I first met you, was at coaching and teaching volleyball, of course, that Jim Coleman taught at George Williams College.
Right.
That was the beginning of whatever training that I had or had received professionally. Being a Southern boy, there wasn't a lot of that available. There was some, but I knew I had to get out of the South. I wanted to be actually grow at what I was trying to do. And then from that, a fellow named Jim Vineyard, who I'm sure some of you know, helped me get the first coaching job at the University of Florida. And this was when the SEC first introduced volleyball, at least Florida first introduced volleyball. And after a year, I realized I still didn't really know anything. And so I had the opportunity to go the AMVA Adidas program under Don Green and Chuck Kirby. And I actually slept on Rob Buck's floor in Huntington Beach for a few months where I lived when I was out there. But then they sent me back to Atlanta in 1976 with the mission of I didn't actually have any idea what they were trying to have me do really, but with the mission of starting club volleyball, junior volleyball in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, nobody does anything of consequence most of the time by themselves, even if they are the singular person in front of that for some period of time. And so I did. I came back in 1976 to do that. And I thought it was going to take 10 years, and it's been 45 at this point. A5 is a linear development or progression in that mission. And I've been on that mission for a long time. And so it's a great, humbling and inspirational to see going from a gym where we had three girls the first tryout. There was no high school volleyball or junior volleyball of any kind in Georgia or the South. There was 3 girls in the gym. To see 1,000 girls in our system and to see 14 court, 70,000 square foot facility is I'm constantly stunned by that development. And I have been blessed to be surrounded by so many extraordinary gifted people that help expand that vision.
Well, our second guest sitting next to you, and both of you sporting some pretty serious beards here, is Gabe Aramian, excuse me, Gabe. And he's a pretty powerful guy himself. He's done some collegiate coaching, but he's the club director. He runs the teams and really is the quality control on a day-to-day basis, has done just about everything from being a coach and a teacher and probably bottle and dishwasher also, Gabe. But tell us about your club. Seriously, how many teams do you have? Where are you going? I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob.
No, Mick, I want to interject that Gabe and I have a unique relationship as people that lead this or tasked with leading this organization. We are almost completely interchangeable in the sense that we deal with everything all the time. So yes, his title is club director and mine is founder or whatever that is, but we interface on a daily basis on every aspect of our organization all the time.
Yeah. And we thought that the beards were mandatory to get on the show. So that's what you told us. But
Brian can't grow one. Brian can't grow one.
This is 10 weeks. This is 10 weeks.
To say that we're busy would be an understatement. You know, we have a burning desire to die of just extreme work instead of boredom. So, but we're projected to have as good of a year as we could have. Our coaching lineup is as strong as we've ever had. For those that don't really know, we have a main gym and location that we're at currently right now, which is the A5 Sportsplex. That's the 14 court behemoth with the Rio Olympic court in the middle. And then we have 3 other sister locations that are also successful in their own right. One in Gwinnett County, another down south in Peachtree City, and then another in Chattanooga. All are about an hour and a half from our location. So we are right in the thick of it. We have, unlike some regions, our tryouts are after the high school season. So they're coming up in the next month, and we're just gearing up for that. I mean, every single day we're looking at spreadsheets of athletes and making sure we have our coaching lineup shored up, and then all the other million tasks that we have to running an organization, and then also the new transition partnership love that I believe we're going to get to here in a minute.
Well, Bob Bertucci is extreme interest in you guys, not only from your financials, but what your view in the future is. Bob, get after these guys. Let's dig into this.
All right, Mick, Bob, Gabe, I want to jump into this partnership. I'm really intrigued with, we had some people from League One Volleyball on, a number of months ago, and they were playing things pretty close to the vest. And now we've just heard that you might have been the first club that's announced the partnership between this professional organization and your club program. Can you speak about that a little bit?
We might be the first major club, although there are some other high-level clubs that are involved as well. For us, our visions aligned so close, and it was a timing sequence as much as anything else. We made a lot of adjustments to be able to get into this large facility, and we had a different group that we were associated with. And as we move forward, this opportunity came up to join forces and collaborate and be partners with this nascent effort, this League One effort, to bring a pro league to the United States, a women's pro league, and to develop that with a community up kind of approach. And it just offered too much for us to resist. We felt like, and we've experienced that these were really bright people, honorable people, and that they were funded in a way that might bring success. And we've always been big dreamers. And the number of times that a pro league has been attempted in the United States is pretty large, right? Number, but with what went on the Olympics, with the climate of landscape of junior volleyball and volleyball just in the United States, with the number of interested people, it just felt right, and the numbers worked, and we felt like the support worked. And the bottom line is we felt like we got more out of that to achieve our vision. We got to be part of helping achieve this improbable dream.
Well, you mentioned a number of other clubs that you're aware of. Can you talk about some of the other clubs that are involved with this partnership?
Right now, probably two of the big mainstays are Houston Skyline, who's been a competitor of ours over the years, and Long Beach with Joy and Matt. So, they've made that. This is not a secret. They've made that known, and this is in the early part of the venture. So, just the past year or two. But if you were to, just in the past few weeks, it's been very busy for Bob and myself to interact with the people that we interact with. These are some very powerful, high level professional business people from some of the top human resources, fashion industry, Lululemon, and some other areas, insurance, CEOs, and founders that all have a vision towards this professional league and growing the sport and women's empowerment as well.
Well, it looks like you got a West Coast club, you got a Texas club, you got a Southeast Atlanta club. Are they looking for particular cities? What other clubs could you project that might be courted for such a partnership?
Well, they're researching that, a long list, and they're going through that list individually, and they are geographically located, oriented in terms of making sure they have all parts of the country covered. To speak to their long-term plans, we certainly discussed with them a lot, but it would be remiss of us to talk about that more than what we actually know at this point in time. Will there be other clubs acquired? We think so. We think other clubs will join. And but as far as names are concerned, we haven't seen a lot of that yet. They have been very involved and very active in helping us address several issues inside of our club in a positive way. It's been so far a really powerful, gratifying experience.
Well, Bob, is it a situation where they're acquiring the club, or is it a partnership between the club and this professional organization? And what does the funding model look like?
It's both. The funding model and again, I don't want to speak out of turn. The funding model for the Pro League will be somewhat separate from the funding model for acquiring clubs and developing community bases for these professional franchises. I don't know what their end result goal there is. I think it's safe to say they'd probably like to start with 8, but they'd have to answer that question directly. I'm talking about pro franchise locations, and they'd be geographically oriented. There's some exciting aspects of that. Those professional athletes will, if this gets off the ground the way we think it can, then they'll be training in our gym. They'll be providing some, both on-site mentorship, leadership. Biggest influence on players is other players.
They do see Atlanta as a potential hub for the start and the growth of it. Atlanta has a cultured sports market. Our soccer games, for instance, sell out, and it's trying to build that fan base outside of the most popular sports, NFL, baseball, but more towards the Olympic sports. And so there's a large female athlete population here, and we think a large volleyball growing population that they can use to start to create a fan base, along with some other major areas.
So part of the powerful resources you talk about on your webpage is that you're going to have these athletes in your gym that are going to be able to mentor your younger club athletes. Will there be a relationship between, the younger athletes and similar to like the soccer clubs where they're going to be, contracted with this particular pro team coming out of Atlanta?
We believe that's correct. So when it's hard to predict the future. I mean, some of that is just would be hard for us to say whether, because then you start going into the NCAA rules, how they overlap and stuff like that. So I know what you mean. In Europe, if you are the top 16-year-old player in Italy, then you're going to be connected to the top professional team in a particular city, or maybe wherever the junior national team is training, et cetera. But I think all options are out on the table. Yeah, I didn't quite understand the question. That's my fault. You were clear. We don't know about that. We know that, well, what we think we know is that there would be a pro franchise. There'd be athletes in that pro franchise that have already graduated, at least high school, but perhaps college, et cetera. They could be European players for that matter. And that they would be associated with our club. But our club, our athletes would not necessarily be under contract or anything like that with them. At least that's our understanding. Yeah, but all options are on the table because it's a brave new world.
All right. Well, I have many more questions I'd like to ask, but I better kick it over to Brian because I could see Ruth is getting ready to mute me if I don't kick it over. So
I get that. We get that.
You don't know. All right, Brian.
Bob and Gabriel, how are you guys? It's nice to see you. Good. It's been a long time, Bob.
Hey, so Brian, if you don't mind, I got to tell you a story real quick. Brian been instrumental in my career, in my life for sure. But one time we were in a qualifier someplace. This was really early, not when it was A5. And we were playing on some obscure court because we didn't have a very good team. And we look up and all of us recognize that Brian Gimolero is sitting over there. We're thinking, oh, who's looking at? Who's looking at? And we said, oh, this is just a really private part of the gym. Get some supply.
Could be. I actually remember that. I heard, Bob, I heard you guys say you were impressed with the character and the vision of this organization.
Yes.
But just in your own opinion, why we've had a lot, our experience with pro leagues has gone on and on. Why is this one different, or could it be different?
Part of it's timing. The fact that we're the number 1, number 2 volleyball program in the world. The fact that the research shows that there's 35 to 40 million people in the United States that would rate a 5 on their willingness to support and attend pro matches and pro events. The fact that pro leagues are successful in all over the world in countries and not here, and that there is not a professional women's franchise pro league in the United States is, and we all know this forever, is a travesty. So timing has a lot to do with it. I think there's a unique combination in this instance of bright people that are connected to funding and are connected to the world digitally and are part of the new landscape that's going to take place, we believe, in both professional athletics, world and the United States, and particularly in women's athletics.
And just to add on to that, the timing is such a key part to it, because 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, it would have been difficult, but there is a changing landscape out there. You can turn on ESPN on the weekends now and watch professional darts and cornhole and stuff like that. And if there's professional cornhole, we can surely get professional volleyball, one of the biggest sports in the world, as far as attendance and viewership, top 3 at least, and get the United States behind some of these Olympic sports. And I think soccer was really hard to get a fan base 15 years ago, and over the past 5 years, it's exploded around the country. There's many places that sell out their soccer stadiums, and that includes the Southeast where football reigns. Nashville, for instance, has their soccer games are completely sold out. Atlanta as well. So we're hoping that demographic shift nationwide will be to our favor.
Just anecdotally, just amongst, since there's so much more volleyball on TV than just even 5 years ago, even though it's still inadequate. If just all the time in our gym, I'll hear both players and coaches, yeah, did you watch that match last night on TV? Well, I haven't heard that. Where there was just a casual conversational buzz amongst people that I don't even know about watching volleyball on TV.
Yeah, I think there's a space now, and I think the space has to do with social media, that we can get around the main characters. Basketball is not going to let us get near Nike, but if we can get around the main new sports networks to develop our own group through the social media, and that's what the kids are watching anyway. And if we can develop that fan base, then Nike will come to us. But I'm really disappointed that there isn't more cornhole on ESPN1. I look at how many years have we seen these wonderful, incredible women play this sport that humor us and make me think I'm smart sometimes when I know better, and are smarter and more athletic and all that. And we can't get them on, but we get a couple from somewhere throwing cornhole and on ESPN1. It always is pretty crazy. But we have very little time left, so I want to go over to Ruth. But it's great to see both of you, and congratulations!
Thanks so much. Yeah,
congratulations on your club and your success over all the years, and your vision, and hopefully your vision for this pro league is great. Anyway,
thank you very much.
Okay, Brian, thanks for giving me a couple minutes, and Bob and Nick too. They consider my minutes when I get cut off and I have to get back on because of the internet. All right, so I have a couple other things that I would like to add to that, and that is, what are you presently doing with TV and social media with your club that can enhance this new relationship? What do you already have in existence? And let's go, Bob, first.
I want to say this humbly, that we have, not arguably, we have one of the most successful social media programs of any club or college in the country,
Okay.
and honestly in the world for junior volleyball. And so, we're going to be able to bring a whole new message to our audience through social media. We have a really gifted guy that does this. And so, for instance, we'll be going to Croatia in November to take a team to train. Our social media person will go with us, and we will be broadcasting that all over the world. And we'll be including our relationship with love and that mutually shared vision about where we think the game is going to go and can go.
Okay, that's great. Okay, we're going to have to catch up with you when you're in Croatia too. But let me go to Gabe. Could you provide me like a percentage of players in your club that are currently participating in high school only? I mean, like 80% of your club participates in high school, or 100% of your kids participate in high school?
That's a good question. Here it's probably above 95%. Most of them do play for their high school teams, and we support that. There are scenarios where they might not, and we also support that as well. So we do believe there's that important social connection with and cultural connection with their schools and schoolmates, et cetera. But that's probably the answer.
Okay, well, congratulations on that, because all over the country, that's not necessarily happening. But I have a second part to that question for Gabe, and that is, do you see NIL as part of your educational program to assist parents and players to better understand? Or will you reach out to some of the 20 agencies that are doing NIL? How do you see that fitting into your club?
As it relates to recruiting,
Yeah, no, just NIL. Will you, if a kid comes up and says, I don't want to play high school, I want to play club only, and I want to utilize my name, image, and likeness, in Georgia right now, there's not a state law yet. Are you going to help educate those parents and players about NIL?
oh, sure, of course. Yeah, we try to support, just like we do on the court. If a kid has a little bit different skill set, we'll try to support that while teaching, what we believe is biomechanically correct. So for us, if a family feels that's the direction we want to go, we want to make sure they're as educated as possible, and that we can provide whatever we can to make sure that their path is on one to success.
Okay, so Bob, last one, because we're out of time. What would be your most wisdom thing that you could say to new club owners?
Ooh. Ooh.
First year club owners, and you only have 30 seconds.
You'll have 30 seconds to answer your question too, Bob.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Pick a different occupation would probably be the number one. Is
Just say that again, I'm sorry.
surround yourself with good people.
Okay, surround yourself with good
People
people.
that amplify the skill sets and things to be successful, and that you may not be the best at.
Check your identity.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Probably should pick a different profession, but that's a whole nother story.
Okay, our time is up, and thanks to Bob and Gabe for being on our show today, and wish you great success for the upcoming club season. And we look forward to following your relationship with League One Volleyball.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks, Gabe.
Good
Thank you,
job,
Bob.
guys.
Good seeing you again.
Yep.
All right, Hall of Famers with years of success bring you drills across all positions, teaching keywords for all ages and ability, and offensive and defensive strategies, and much more. Take advantage of Master Coach's Stream 18 full-length on-demand video series by heading over to our Instagram, VB Master Coaches, or our website, volleyballmastercoaches.com. Register for our newly released 18 video training package hosted by Coaches Insider. Missed one of our shows? Jump over to Instagram and click on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Volleyball Master Coaches, Instagram and Twitter, VB Master Coaches. Want to make a difference? Please remember to renew your AVCA membership. This one organization that represents all coaches at all levels when lobbying for changes that are needed in our sport today. And you can make a difference by registering at avca.org. We now close out today's buzz, and please stay on as we will begin our recap with Master Coaches. A special thanks to our Buzz and Buzz Reaction digital partner, Dr. John Foreman, for being part of our show, and we wish him great success as he begins his first competition season with the women of Medaille College. For those joining us for the first time for Buzz Reaction, today we'll have our Master Coaches recap the Buzz Show and give their thoughts on how junior clubs are developing around the country, and end with some thoughts on coaching education. So Master Coaches, let's begin our recap on our show today. Are you guys all on mute?
I'll start today. I thought that I wish that my feeling has always been that club volleyball is a complement to high school volleyball, meaning, you can be, the one thing that they can guarantee all club players is that they will be better high school players. They will improve. So it gives them a chance. But high school is the one thing they all share. And I would like to, I like that their volleyball tryouts come after high school season. So it doesn't cause a conflict with the kids or the high school team or that type of thing. So I really like that they said that. And the second thing, I don't know how that would work in other states, but I sure wish they'd all do it. And the second thing is when they're very good. They're very knowledgeable, skill level, very knowledgeable. But when you have that, when those two are that busy with that many teams doing that much, how do they possibly train their coach, that many coaches? And they know it. They want to train their coaches, but there's no way they can have clinics all the time training of close coaches. And I was thinking that that's a real need from us. These staffs need to be trained so that these guys can do their other things. That's where we could step in. That's all.
Bob, Mick?
Well, Mick, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts, and I was didn't jump in there right away because I wanted to kind of think my way through it a little bit. But first of all, Bob, did you understand from your question that the Pro League has purchased A5?
Well, it sounds like it's more than just a partnership. And I'm sorry we didn't have enough time to really delve into that a little bit more. But it almost sounds similar to what Nations Academy is thinking about and wanting to do. It seems like this group is coming in. It's a bunch of high-level businessmen that are coming in and purchasing and funding the Pro League and purchasing these clubs, so, at least in part, so that they have facilities and access to, areas of the country and a following in those areas of the country.
It just seems to me that these clubs have gone through a lot of time and turmoil to get them on solid footing, to get them to be financially stable. And all at once they partner with somebody that maybe it's a SPAC that's just going to throw money against the wall and see what sticks. I don't know if that's true with this group or not, but what's the jeopardy for the club if this doesn't go?
Yeah, I don't think we ever got into some of those details. I don't know if Bob would have been willing to share that with the audience or not, but I think that's, maybe time for another show to delve into that stuff. I mean, you got some big clubs with Houston Skyline and Mizuno Long Beach that have already announced apparently, and A5 is a huge club on the southeast part of the country. I mean, these clubs are financially solvent themselves, so I think that would be really interesting to find out more of those details, how that really works.
Well, the Long Beach thing is interesting because their sponsor name comes first, Mizuno Long Beach. And does this league have a relationship with Mizuno? That would be interesting. Or is it going to be just the Long Beach club now and that sponsorship goes away? That would be not good for Long Beach if this didn't go. And that would seem to me that would be my concern. That's what I was mulling over. If I were a club owner, Brian's been a club owner. I think you've done some club work, Bob. I know Ruth is got experience with club. My experience was just failure. I didn't do well with clubs. I could recruit clubs, but I couldn't run clubs. That was just too much information, too many parents, too many moving parts.
A lot of work.
For me.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you think?
Well, I think Bob is very astute, and I don't think that he gave away too much. But I do think they have some control. The Pro League will have some control of facilities and scheduling and that type of thing, but I don't think much more. I think Club Long Beach, I think that the Pro League really wants to play in the pyramid. So I think the joy being the coach of Long Beach State and owner of the club, I think that they're manipulating in a way to get into the pyramid to play. That's what I think. I think that, but I don't think that anybody's giving away very much right now. I think what they're giving away is a little scheduling with a potential of using this as a recruiting tool for their clubs.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
there's-
I agree with that. When I was coaching the Olympic team, Tom Pingle was running the high performance program. And I always envisioned the qualifiers, the clubs that ran the qualifiers could be the basis for a league that the players then would go back into the club and provide, like they do in Europe, provide instruction during the weeks while they're training for the league, and that those clubs would become a level higher than the rest of the clubs in the country. Obviously, that is a political hot potato, because every club wants to be that club, but every club is not in a position to be that club. But the people that run qualifiers, there's a big qualifier in Atlanta, in Philly, in Denver, in Chicago, in Dallas, in Las Vegas. Those people are bringing in $2 to $5+ million in just the qualifiers. And it seems to me, if partnered with USAV and a pro group, that would be the way to make the most immediate change towards a pro league that would be successful with spectators, because those clubs have developed their cities as spectator cities. They have 10, 20 years. Brian, I don't know how many years you ran your club, 15 or 20, but all of those people that went through your club came to watch you coach at Long Beach also. So you really built, I wouldn't say all, but you would build a pretty strong followership. And when you filled up the pyramid, there were a lot of California junior parents, kids, former players in the stands for that. I could see that happening all over the country. And that's just the base that's associated with volleyball. There's a whole nother group of 45 and older people that really love to watch women's volleyball. They're not associated with any college or university. Maybe their granddaughter or their daughter or even mom played at that point. I see that model working. I see this as a model that's kind of picking off some of that, but they're not getting involved with qualifiers and those things to date, which might be messy from control. You know, that's just my vision on that.
You've always had the vision of a pro league and to set it up similar to this.
Yeah.
And you've always talked about that. I think this is the way it could work, this model. And I believe that you have an automatic audience. Your audience, like you said, is the parents and the kids and the parents and friends come to watch the pros. And I think they will. And the other thing we've always experienced, and we've had a lot of famous parents of daughters, you know, a lot of pro who come through and they're so excited about their daughter, but when they're done playing, they leave the game. So the great part about this is you always have another audience. It rolls over. So you always have more kids coming in. And I do think that the more kids that come in, the more older people will come along. So the more young people that go to the games, the older people would come. But I think it's a great model because you got an automatic audience.
I did that club for just a couple of years. My wife really ran it. I walk in the gym one day, go up on the courts, and there's Sylvester Stallone. I'm thinking Rocky is going to punch me out now because his daughter's not starting. That was it for me. I got out of there. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
so last bit of
I've seen it
info.
many times.
Okay, so I want to recognize Mick for being first today, getting his buzz reaction up, and Bob was second today. And Brian
I
is
was
still
second for the
holding
first
steady.
time and she
Well,
recognized.
Ruth, I
I'm
really
usually the
like her.
first.
I
Yeah,
really
that-
liked your beach scene behind you for a
Oh,
little
yeah,
while.
thank you. I didn't notice you ever noticed anything, but I had to do something because you guys.
Brian still
forget I'm
doesn't have
here.
it up though, Ruth.
I don't have
Okay,
one. I just
all right.
really like this one. I'm
Second
afraid to
thing.
lose this one.
All right, second thing. All right, I noticed and I heard him say Lululemon.
Yeah,
Did you listen to that?
I heard that too.
Lululemon.
yep.
Okay, and the fact is that when Mizuno Long Beach promoted their relationship, it was on the beach. So their actual shot was a beach shot. Okay, that was my second.
Of Lululemon?
Yeah, no, beach, just I
Of-
thought,
of-
because
of the
Lululemon
partnership?
really, yes, on the partnership.
Partnership with whom?
LOVB
Oh, I
stands
see. I
for,
see.
Totally.
Oh, I see. Okay.
okay.
Love.
And our
Love it.
third, my third is there's a very difference between all three of those clubs. Skyline was developed and initiated the latest. Then you look at A5, then you look at Long Beach. So it's interesting because they all three are very different. It's not Skyline Dallas, it's not Skyline Austin. It's Skyline Houston, which was their second club that they developed. Okay, and my last one was that I think Athletes Unlimited really did a great job doing an experiment to how fan-based events can draw players and parents, even though they didn't have fans, but they sure had a lot of followers. So I think that group did an excellent job of social media. I'm going to need to follow A5 because he said he had the best social media in the world. So I'm going to need to follow those guys.
Well, you
So,
know,
so Ruth, you mentioned Skyline Houston and there's a Skyline Dallas and
And there's a Skyline Austin.
So maybe they just sold one portion of that
They did, well,
club.
they're independent anyhow.
Oh, they
But
are.
my point is, they are the latest of those three. Long Beach has been in existence for longest, then A5 volleyball and Skyline Houston. And I said, it's interesting because there's a big difference between all of those. Now, Skyline Dallas owns their own facility. So, I mean, it's very different. And I just thought it was interesting that that would be the one that they would pick.
Well, I just think we're moving towards this European model. Brian brought out what he liked about the high school and then club coming after, but Ruth, you may know the numbers on this, but the number of clubs now having their tryouts in July before high school season starts.
The majority. it's
Yeah, I
like
think almost
80%
everybody
in the
has moved
country.
to having their tryouts either before or the first couple of weeks of training or first couple of months of training of high school volleyball. I'm thinking this is moving the other way, although there is strong parental support for high school volleyball because of the prestige that the parents hold of the kids playing at their school. I think that's more so than the kids. The kids think it's pretty cool. They know each other. They're from different schools. They play club together and they like to talk under the net a little bit and have fun. But it's the parents that really hold that high school volleyball together because it is prestigious for them and for their daughters to play on those high school teams. So I don't know where that's going.
Yeah,
Well,
I think in
the
certain
high
parts of the
school-
in certain parts of the country, I think that that's true, Mick. But I can also say this, that I think if COVID wouldn't have happened, I don't think you would have seen clubs moving their tryouts. Because I think if you move your tryouts to July, it means you have more time to do clinics. And guess what clinics mean?
Oh, I know. It's more repetitions for those kids.
No, more
Money.
money.
Revenue.
Well, more
Revenue.
revenue. That's
Yeah.
obvious, but to draw that revenue, those kids have to participate in those extra clinics while high school season's going on. That's why I think high school's in trouble. I
Well-
agree with you totally.
My feeling is that's the bucket. The high school is who you draw from. The high school is you can destroy club by becoming too elitist. Because that 12-year-old who become a great volleyball player never plays in junior high or in high school because high school is drowning and not growing anymore. That is a problem because then you lose your bucket. You lose what you're pulling from. You never lose your base. You got to keep your base. Clubs should pour money into high school ball to keep it growing. So you get more and more kids.
Well, the NFL tried to protect Friday night football for high schools. And you see how long that's lasted. They're now Monday night, Thursday night, Friday night. High schools are now playing football on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I mean, it's a changing environment out there for sure.
There's no
Okay,
question.
so let's go. Now, let's hear your thoughts on how streamlining coaches' education within a junior club is critical for development and growth.
I think Brian already addressed that, just talking, he didn't mention A5, but you look at some of these big clubs and Bob Westbrook talked about how good a coaching staff they have. And I really think they do have a very good coaching staff, but you just can't do everything yourself. And it would make a lot of sense to bring in, a group like master coaches to work with your whole club so that you can all be on the same page and the coaches are all getting, similar training. And then you just have to keep tweaking that.
I agree. I think that's the clubs are, my club was 30 years. So let's.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to keep you young.
Yeah, thank you. You do it by reputation. Your club's successful by reputation, your ability to recruit now didn't used to be, but now it's your ability to recruit, ability to maintain and keep players. But what can separate you is that your club's style is identifiable. It's successful. And when you watch a certain club play, you say, wow, that's that club. And it gives them, and that's what will prolong your existence. And what I see is if I were a club director today and bring in master coaches, what I would say is, organize what we're trying to teach at a practice and at a game, organize the skills, organize the tactical and the technical, and then organize practice and figure out how to use a practice and do a practice and how that grows over time. And I just think that you could make it unique, a program unique for a particular club. This is for this club, and you do this for 1 month and you try to develop. But I think that there's either clubs don't know it or the clubs that do know it just don't have the time because they're too big. That's my thought.
Okay, so then I have a question for all of you. Why is it that a club would resist having a standardized system being taught within their club? And I know, Mick, you have some experience because when we first started doing our clinics.
I'll tell you right now, it's harder. The reason they resist that is harder because you have to invest more in coaches' education than you do in player education, because you have so many new coaches coming in. As you develop more and more teams, it becomes harder and harder to find coaches. And in every club I've been in, the first line coaches of their 18s, 17s, 16s, 15s, and sometimes 14s are always pretty darn good coaches. But you look at the 2s teams and the 3s teams and the 4s teams, and there is some real
the mom or
drop
dad
off.
that just decide to help out because they have some time available.
Yeah, and I see the clubs failing in not training the coaches, and that's the thing that I think master coaches could really assist in all across the country, is go in and really prepare. We my wife and I just visited one club this last weekend to help out, and we were watching, and 4 coaches were breaking up one skill, and they were all teaching the skill differently. They all used different keywords. They all used, they were emphasizing what I would call maybe some unimportant parts of the skill instead of the major top 2 or 3 components of the skill. And that's death for kids, because they need to get the 2 or 3 most important components right. They're always the individual coaches' little things that they want to put in, and there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, but biomechanics of a skill is biomechanics of a skill, and you got to get those right. And so I see the coaches having a struggle in keeping their coaches if they don't let them do it the way they want to. I don't know, Brian, do you have trouble with that when you hired coaches or not?
Oh, yeah, that was a constant struggle. You're absolutely right. But to answer your question directly, Ruth, is the reason they don't want to, is it's threatening. Because they might have said something a certain way. And then when the people running it say it to certain coaches, and then we come in and say something that might be contradictory, and then the coaches start to lose confidence in what they're learning. So it has to be something that's, their time has to be spent with the ownership and leadership so that they feel comfortable with what's going to be taught. And then there has to be follow-up. It can't be, okay, a hit and miss, you get enough for a weekend, and then there has to be follow-up. And then the follow-up could possibly be over the internet. It could possibly, I'm having trouble with this, I'm doing this, but I think there needs to be a follow-up afterwards too. But the worst thing that can happen is then, but it's already happening, and it's really bad, is the kids are looking at one coach and saying, well, my coach told me this, and now you're telling me this, and they're telling me, and it becomes a real.
And my high school coach told me this, and my private trainer told me this.
You got it. Exactly right. So so it has to be good enough. It has to be unique enough. It has to be it has to be foolproof, and it has to be, it has to be done enough times that it's visible. And so you can't refute it. You can't refute angles. You can't refuse geometry. You can't refute, angles of the game. You just can't. So how you present it and who you present it to and the follow-up and the way it's done is critical. And a good club needs to invest their time in getting this right. That's my.
Well, it's interesting. Women's basketball in the early 80s became so successful because they began to hire their former players that graduated. Right. And they were the first sport that really started integrating that. And basically, when you think of this, what happens if a parent starts a club? Their kid plays. So how do you begin to have people with similar ability levels and players? And just because you were a player doesn't mean you know how to teach. Right. So they need guidance too.
Oh, there's no question. But
I know from just doing camps forever. All right. And the most important thing is your staff. I mean, if you have good staff, the camp runs well. The kids are learning something, they're having a good time, everything's good. All the rest of the stuff really doesn't matter. I think the same is true with the clubs. And like Mick was saying, your ones team, usually those coaches are pretty good, but they don't have the time. All right. And they don't have the inclination maybe to be training, the coaches all the way down to the fourth team in the club. I mean, I just see it, especially on the East Coast. I think one of the things that holds back, a lot of the clubs on the East Coast is that they're not deep in their coaching ranks, where if they spent the time training their coaches and having a method and a system to what they're doing, all right, and have that follow-up, the coaches are going to get better, the programs are going to get better, the kids will be better.
Well, I can speak for only Dallas, because what they're doing now is most coaches that are head coaches at a top level, whether it's 16, 17, or 18, they now are going back and coaching 13s, 12s, and 11s. Because what happens in the younger age group, because, hey, at USA Nationals, they're going to have 10 and under, okay? So think of what kind of coaches get stuck at 10 and 11. And to me, that's where they need the good fundamental skills developed.
Coaches, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an answer to this. Some clubs pay their coaches bonuses if they finish at a certain level or if they qualify, and that sort of thing. If those clubs that are getting stuck and those coaches who are not qualifying want to qualify, it seems like they would be more open to an outside group to come in and help with the teaching instruction, because there's no question that if the skill sets improve, the teams can improve and have a better chance to qualify. What happens is most of the clubs plateau. Brian mentioned this last time. Clubs plateau because they recruit great athletes. They don't coach them up. They never improve. And they're only as good as their athleticism or what they're able to figure out themselves. I was recently in Indiana talking to Loy Ball, who runs a club called Pineapple. And it seems to be becoming one of the best clubs in Northern Indiana, challenging Munciana and a number of other really quality clubs. And he lost his best setter to Munciana, I believe is the way the story goes. And I asked him, well, didn't that infuriate you? And he said, no, that's just business. We got people, we take the next one in, the next one coming up, and we'll coach them up because we know how to teach people to be better. We can train another person to be that good or better. We just need to move forward. If we want to spend our time fighting with the parents or having an unhappy player, so we just move forward. And that seems to be his whole coach's club's mantra of the way they're moving forward. They're not worrying about this. We've got junior clubs that actually, I understood from conversations this weekend, that actually take parents out to dinner at night during qualifiers and recruit their daughter for the next year. I
Well,
mean,
that's where,
Closing
Mick, I
thought.
think if you have good training and you're taking care of the coach's education and they are becoming better coaches, the players are going to become better and the players are going to want to stay. You're going to have better retention if your coaches are better.
yeah, I just see maybe the clubs are saying, well, we go in and coach the 13s, the 12s, the 10s, the 11s, and we coach them up, and then they go to another club. That's a wasted investment. We're just going to get into the recruiting game like a lot of these college coaches have, and they don't teach or the players don't get better. They just try to get a lot of good players on one team.
Okay, so we got about less than a minute left. Anybody got any other?
No, that was great.
Oh, you're waiting for me, the last minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
It's
just,
your
we
minute.
always turn to
It's
you
my
for,
minute. Okay, from now on, so then I guess I get the last minute.
yeah, we
So,
always look at you for this way, sage wisdom, you know?
okay, Brian. All right, so let me recap. So Mick talked about the fact is that people are recruiting and not teaching the basic fundamental skills. Brian talked about you got to really let the kids play high school so they can have that experience. And Bob said, if you don't combine all of this, you're not going to get coaches to get better. And if coaches don't get better, players don't get better. So then you address the question, which I hear all the time is, well, the coach starts winning and then the other club starts recruiting that coach to come to their club.
Sure.
So you have to, in reality, it's like what Lloyd said, and I do the same thing because I've had a club for like 18 years. You know, you guys probably didn't know because I moved so many places. But my thought was that nobody belongs to you because it is part of the business of developing kids. And if you've developed a kid and they get to go on, that's great. And if you've helped that coach get better, but yes, does it bother me about the loyalty part? Absolutely. But I'm not so sure that loyalty is really something that's being taught. So I think it's something that you learn from whoever you play with. So I think we're invaluable, but you just have to get the right, it has to be the right club director that's willing to make and put in the time. I don't think it's someone who says, okay, we pay you, this is what you do. Okay, we'll see you next year. It's like Bob said, it can't be a one and done. It's got to be something that's longer than that. All right. Well, our time is up, and thanks for joining us today for Buzz Reaction. A very special shout out to our 100 guests who have shared their insights with us and our viewers over 70 weeks. Can you believe it? 70 weeks. For those coaches that are interested in our consulting services, which we've already talked about the last 10 minutes on, go directly to our website at volleyballmastercoaches.com and click on the contact form. And we look forward to customizing that in-person or virtual clinic so we can do both. Don't forget to take advantage of the Master Coaches Stream 18 full-length on-demand video series. 2021 AVCA Convention Columbus, Ohio, December 15th to 18th. You may jump over to guess where? AVCA Convention, to save $100. Be sure to tell your friends about our weekly news show. And thanks for joining us today, and see you next week on The Buzz. Okay.